Hey, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. This time I'm coming at you with a budget deck profile. This deck is really awesome at what it does, and it's super duper cheap, and I really like to put these videos out so you guys can get deck ideas for how you can get more players into your local scene active. And a really good way to do that is with budget decks that can actually do something really strong, and this deck is one of those by all means. So before we get into the deck profile, if you guys enjoy awesome DBS content, if you guys enjoy deck profiles, if you guys enjoy our podcast, if you guys enjoy a strategy series where we give you guys some tips and pointers on how to play the game, definitely consider subscribing to Crossroad TCG. It really means the world to me, and it'll allow us to keep bringing you awesome, great Dragon Ball Super content. So with that being said, we'll get into the deck profile. I'm going to talk about it. It's going to be awesome. Alright, so we got the Pan Leader. So she's a fan favorite right now. A lot of people are really liking her with the new format coming about, and she's great in a budget deck like this. So what she does is, once per turn, when you play a battle card, any color battle card, you can give that battle card 5k, and if it hits 20k, you draw a card. So that's active on both players' turns, and that's going to be relevant with some of the cards we'll see in a minute. And then she'll awaken at 4 life on tap 2 energy, which is really good for your big tempo turns. Can also be very useful on defense as well. So on the awaken side, Pan ready to fight, she has the same effect. So you'll play a battle card, it'll gain 5k. If it hits 20k, you'll draw a card. And then when she swings, draw a card. So you can have some really insane turns where you go Pan on the unawakened side, draw a card, awaken on tap 2, play a battle card. It hits 20k again because your leader side on the back side is now active, draw another card, and then you swing the leader, draw another card. So you just do 3 cards on tap 2 energy. That's a pretty insane tempo turn, especially when you're ready to awaken and Pan. So I really like this leader, and it's really great for this budget deck. So we'll get right into it. So we got the Dimensional Banisher Fu. This is one of the best tech choices for Overrealm, and it gives the deck some much needed spot removal. So this is why we go with this Overrealm card in the deck. Mass Hand's a little bit too expensive for a budget variant like this, and this card is just really good, especially in the upcoming format, being able to remove like the Supreme Showdown Vegetas or Cell Chain. Things like that. Then we have 3 Zeno the Playing God. One of the reasons why this is going to be such a great budget deck is because it can do one of the strongest things in the upcoming format, and that is resolve Chain Zeno, and it's actually really cheap as well. So we have Zeno here. A really good ruling to know with the Pan Leader is that, so when you play a battle card, right, the first battle card that comes into play typically is what has to be boosted by Pan. But the way the game works is when you play Chain Attack, if that's the first thing you play in that turn, you can send Chain Attack's auto independing, and you can send Pan's auto independing. So what that means is you can choose to resolve Chain Attack's auto first by summoning the Zeno, and now that another thing has been summoned, you send Pan's auto independing again, and then Zeno can resolve before you resolve Pan. Both players will shuffle back in their battle cards in their hand, draw 5. Pan will trigger to boost Zeno by 5k, and then you draw an additional card. So Pan is one of the only leaders that can draw 6 cards off Zeno without even swinging. So that's pretty insane, and that's one of the most powerful things you can do in the game right now. So that's why this is going to be an excellent budget choice. Then we have Unending Awakening. So this type of leader, a red sand, another thing it has going for it is that it has a Senzu Bean-esque card in Unending Awakening. We're running 3 copies of it because we are going to be running a total of 7 negates in the deck, and a high negate count I think is pretty good for this format, especially with giant beaters like, again, the Supreme Showdown Vegeta and Goku running around. This is going to be a really excellent card for the format, and the fact that you get that 5k boost is really strong. So 3 Unending Awakening because Pan can run it, and it's a great negate. 2 Heroic Duo Videl. Unfortunately, when you do use this on your opponent's turn, it'll only go up to 6k, so you're not going to be able to get a draw off of it, unfortunately, but it is a negate that gives us combo power. And that's really valuable, especially when we're trying to defend our life total from a big swing. So we don't clog on Unending Awakenings. We have a negate that is just as good when we don't need the 5k pump, and allows us to combo with it when necessary. Then we have 4 Intensifying Power Trunks. This card is great for helping us awaken. It hits critical, so our opponent doesn't get cards when we swing at their life. The thing with Intensifying Power Trunks and Sankaba, which we'll get to in a second, is when you summon them, Pan will boost them, and you won't draw a card off Pan, unfortunately, but these are cards that get you more cards. So most things you summon in this deck are going to be +1s, and either Pan's going to make it a +1, or the card itself will become a +1 in terms of Trunks and Kava. But this card is really good because we're running Chain Zeno in the deck, and you can summon this card as early as turn 1. And as long as your opponent can't clear the 1-drop Trunks and you don't swing with it, you have the option to Chain Zeno any single turn after that, and that's really scary as the opponent. Sometimes you can just basically force them to not awaken, and you can just have your way with them because they're going to be a smaller leader and you're going to be able to put big pressure on them. So really good card in the deck, really cheap card as well. 3 Sankava because it's an excellent finisher. If you chain Zeno somebody after they're down to 2 life and have a bajillion cards in hand, Sankava is a great card to get off the chain Zeno in order to just finish off the game because they're going to have way less cards in their hand to defend. Then we're playing the Mighty Mask Powers Combined Super Combo. This is a card that I am like so in love with out of the World Martial Arts Tournament. I don't think that, and I think this is like the perfect deck for it because we are running the Tiny Rivals, Goten, and Trunks. So what this card does is if your leader's red at 4 life, it's active. You can discard 1 card from your hand and it gets 10k pump. So that's similar to like the Hoy Super Combo or the Hellas Super Combo. And then you have the option to add up to 1 red Sun Goten and 1 red Trunks Youth. Each with 15k or less power, add them to your hand. I wish it was any color, Goten or Trunks, but I guess they wanted to keep it balanced a little bit because Sun Goten Family and Justice would have been an excellent tech choice for this deck. But because it's only red, we kept it mostly mono red. So that allows you to add one of your 4, 8, 10, 12 targets. So we'll start with the Tiny Rivals and Goten. Kind of triggered that they're not facing each other, but we'll ignore it for now. So Tiny Rivals and Goten. This is actually the one you want to be playing before the Trunks, so I guess it's good that it's in this order. So Tiny Rivals and Goten, what it does is it has barrier, so it can't be removed by your opponent's card effects for the most part. And if you have the Trunks in play, which we'll get to in a second, this card gains 5k power and double strike. So when you summon this thing on its own, it's going to gain 5k from pan, you're going to draw a card, it's going to have barrier, your opponent really can't do too much about it, and then it's going to set you up for your next turn for a big aggro play, which is the Tiny Rival Trunks. So this is a 3-drop with critical on its own. So really solid just for denying your opponent cards again. And then if you have the Tiny Rival Sun Goten in your battle area, this card gains double strike and 5k power as well. So turn 4 when you summon this, it's going to be really insane because you're going to have the Goten up, you're going to have barrier on him, and he's going to have double strike once you drop the Trunks. So you have a 20k double striker in Goten that has barrier, so it's going to be hard for your opponent to remove unless they put resources into swinging at it. And then you're going to have the Tiny Rivals Trunks. That's going to be a double strike crit, which is one of the best effects you can have in this game. I look at Vegeta and double strike Champa. It's one of the best effects you can get in this game, which is really insane. And it's going to be a 25k swinger when you summon it off pan because it's going to be boosted by the by its own effect, and it's going to be boosted by pan, and you're going to draw a card off of it. So absolutely insane. Pretty big tempo turn for this deck. Then we have the double shot Vegeta. This card is an absolute staple in pan. So a lot of times what you do is at turn 1, if you're not going to drop the intensifying power Trunks to present chain Zeno, you're basically going to leave an energy open so you can combo the double shot Vegeta to defend an attack and draw a card, effectively making this as good as like an Unbreakable Son Goku or as good as like a super combo that summons itself. So perfectly, completely amazing staple in pan. So then we're playing 2 Leaps of the Future Son Goten and 2 Leaps of the Future Trunks. I wanted to add these into the deck mostly so that your Mighty Mask Powers Combined Super Combo never really misses. You don't really want to summon them for the most part, although if you do, pan will turn them into 20k swingers and a +1. That's really, really good. But mostly they're just for more searchable pieces off Mighty Mask. You're mostly going to charge these when you see them. But they can actually search your win con for you, which is the Ghost Attack, Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. They can search that for you, so definitely want to be able to keep that in mind as well. Then we're playing Dark Duo Deborah, the budget for seeing Hit. This card's going to get its own video where I compare Deborah versus Hit and the pros and cons of each. But this card is absolutely insane, especially the fact that it's a budget option for players in red that want to play a mid-drop game bomb that has some hand control to it. So this card's absolutely amazing. What it does is when you play it, you can snipe 2 cards from your opponent's hand at random. They don't get them back unless they remove the Deborah somehow. So a lot of times you won't really swing with it unless it's a game-ending swing. And I was toying with playing the Bobbity in the deck that allows it to gain barrier and allows you to restand a 3-drop battle card because you can restand your Tiny Rivals and swing at them again and get more added pressure. But my issue with that was that it was just a 3-drop and I couldn't really fit it into the curve very effectively. So we're not playing it right now, but if you do go up against a spot removal matchup where Deborah is really, really beneficial, you could definitely side the Deborahs in. That's another great budget option as well. So Deborah is absolutely insane, especially in this deck where you draw 1 off it and then make your opponent discard 2. Then we're playing 2 Pride and Justice Topo to round out the negates. So this is proven to be a very cost-heavy negate in the past format and probably going to the format going forward as well. But the reason we're including 2 is because against slower matchups you can afford to negate with it, and it's actually a really, really insane offensive tool when your opponent has a rested board full of weenies, right? So you can summon it, pan will boost it to 25, you'll draw a card, this thing can clear an entire board on its own unless your opponent has negates or wants to waste combos to save it. And the fact that it comes in 5k higher than any other deck that you drop Topo in makes it a really, really solid card. Then we have 4 Chain Attack Trunks. This card is one of the reasons why this deck can do the most insane thing it can do, which is chain down somebody. So this card evolves for 2 over the 1-drop Trunks, which allows you to summon any 15k less from your hand. When you want to regain control of the game, it's going to be Xeno the Playing God, and then your leader is going to allow you to draw 6 cards off that instead of 5, like I mentioned before. But a really cool combo you can do is if you drop the 1-drop, like let's say on turn 1, later on in the game, especially when you're ready to awaken, you can go just 2 energy, drop Chain Attack. Chain Attack lets you play either of the Tiny Rivals, so that's a 2 energy Tiny Rival right there, and a 20k attacker that can attack active battle modes on top of that. And then if you're ready to awaken, if you're at 3 energy, if you're at 4 energy, you can drop the other Tiny Rival and just get like a crazy amount of pressure in on that turn. So it's really, really solid with synergistic with the Tiny Rivals as well. Then we're running our Ghost Attack Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. So this is kind of our win con of the deck. A lot of games are making it to this 5 energy point. So I wanted to run a win con that really, really solidifies the game state. So Ghost Attack Super Saiyan 3 Sun Gotenks. Vaults for 2 over Gotenks. 4 over Gotenks. Doesn't really matter too much. If you have 4 less cards in hand, this and all of your Ghost tokens gain Double Strike. You can swing with any of your Tiny Rivals, put a lot of combo into that to push them down to that 2 life. Then when you drop the Ghost Attack Gotenks, you'll make sure you have that 4 cards in hand, and you'll be able to get a whole bunch of Double Strikers. Then you'll be able to drop the Gotenks, which will drop 3 attackers plus itself, and you'll be able to put some crazy pressure on your opponent that way. And once your opponent's already at 2 life, it's going to be really, really hard for them to stave off 3 separate Double Strike attacks. So really, really solid win con in the deck, and it is searchable if we need to by Leaps of the Future Trunks and Leaps of the Future Goten. So guys, that's the deck profile. Only comes out to a whopping $30, guys. A little bit less than $30 to build this entire deck, and it can do one of the most insane things that a deck in Dragon Ball Super can do, which is chain down someone. And it has crazy pressure in the form of the Tiny Rivals, in the form of Deborah, and in the form of the Ghost Attack Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. So guys, let me know what you guys think about this deck profile down in the comments below. I'm really, really interested to know if you guys will take this deck and like give it to your local players in order to get them to play the game a bit more. That would be super sick. Any of your friends that are just looking to get into this game, send them this deck profile and tell them that how much this deck costs. Only $30 to build this deck, guys. It's super cheap for a game, especially when it can do one of the craziest things that a deck in this game can do. So yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do consider liking and subscribing. CrossFitTCG. #Shenron loves budget players, and I'll see you next time.